my name is Rachel and I'm here today to talk about the books that I bought in the month of September. I think most of them I got quite cheaply, so I don't feel as bad about it, but I did buy a lot of books, and there's going to be a huge book haul for October because I'm literally like looking at all the books over there and there's already more than the books that I mentioned in September, and I'm halfway through October, but it is my birthday in October, so like that was bound to happen. Anyway, the point is I have a lot of books to show you, so I'm going to get started. But the first thing I'm going to mention is not actually a book. It is the little Pennywise pop doll. I went seeing the new It movie in September and absolutely adored it. It is scary at times, but I think the thing that I really love is that they got the humour of Pennywise in that film, which is like the best part of the book for me. So I was really happy with the movie adaptation. I also got some new bookshelves. I'll try and insert a picture if I remember. One of the shelves is a Stephen King shelf, and I have pop dolls that are like Game of Thrones pop dolls, Harry Potter pop dolls, some Buffy ones, and I was like, I need a Stephen King pop doll for my Stephen King shelf. That's why this happened. I'm very, very happy to have this. I think he looks so fun and I love him being on my shelf. I mean, I did find that book really scary and at times Pennywise was terrifying, but I don't really mind. Like, I don't really get scared of things being in my room. Like, I'm not one of those kind of people, so yeah, I'm fine sleeping near it. It doesn't bother me. And the other thing that I got that I don't have with me right now is Pumpkinheads by Rainbow, Rowell and Faith Hill Evans, I think she's called. I have lent this out to my best friend who wanted to read it, and that's why I don't have it, but it's a graphic novel. I have already read it. I think I gave it 3 stars. Really, really enjoyed it. It's quite a quiet, cutesy autumn kind of read. The art style is beautiful. Got some bisexual rep, which I really enjoyed, obviously. That was a great one. And then we'll move on to like physical books that I have. So the first 3 I'm going to kind of blast through because I've mentioned them all very recently in a wrap up, and one of them I mentioned 24/7, so I need to fucking shut up about it. That one is just Juliet. I am very happy to finally have a physical copy of this book because I only had it on audiobook and I've read it like 3 times already this year. I just really wanted a physical copy. So I'm very, very, very happy to have this, and I'm probably going to read it again before the end of the year because I'm like, I need to read the physical copy and see if I get anything more from it than I already get, which is like everything anyway. This is about a girl called Lena, and a new girl starts at her school called Juliet and makes her question her sexuality, and it's just about the relationship that forms between them. It's very cute and perfect and everything that I want, and I love it very much. Then I got Tell Me How You Really Feel by Aminah Safi. Now this follows Sana and Rachel. So a few years prior to the beginning of this book, Sana went and asked Rachel out, but Sana was quite popular. She was a cheerleader and Rachel was not. And so she thought it was a joke, that this is just like a straight girl playing a prank on her, and has hated her ever since. So they have a really hateful relationship, don't like each other, and then they get assigned to work on the same project, which is a documentary project for Rachel's final thing about the relationship that developed between them. I either gave this 2 or 2.5 stars. Didn't really enjoy it. There were parts I really loved. Love the relationship in here, but I think it concentrates too much on other things, like on family relationships and stuff like that. And although that's really interesting, it takes away from the actual main plot too much. And so this wasn't my fave, unfortunately, but I wouldn't say it was a bad book, if that makes sense. And then we have the very overly hyped, but rightly so, Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I read this book last month and gave it 4.5 stars. Really, really enjoyed it. There are some negatives to it, which go and watch that video if you want to hear about those. But this basically follows the first son of the President of America and his relationship with the Prince of Wales. They have a very hateful relationship, really don't get on, and it's a PR nightmare. So the 2 teams behind them get together and they say, you guys need to be friends, you need a public friendship so that, you know, we can gloss over this and this isn't a thing that's being in the news all the time. They do that, they develop a relationship. Hate to love is a thing that I enjoy, and I enjoyed this book. I really liked it. It was cute. So obviously all the books I've just mentioned I've actually read. So the next books that I mentioned I've not read. The first 3 are books that I got from Waterstones. So I went in just to like, I was in town, I was waiting for someone, go and chill, look in the bookshop, obviously. And so the first thing that I saw when I walked in, which just knocked me on the floor, Crossfire. by Malorie Blackman. I am a huge Malorie Blackman fan, specifically the Noughts and Crosses series. I have loved it for years and years and years. It was the book that got me back into reading when I was a teenager and I'd had a few years not reading. I think it is just one of the best books of all time and I love it. I really, really love it. And I had no idea that there was a new book in that series coming out, which is this one, Crossfire. So I saw it and I literally like stopped dead in Waterstones like, oh my fucking god, is this real? Like, what the hell? Oh my god. Was really excited to get a copy of this. The books are here and I don't like the red pages, but when you put them together, they still actually do match up because it's pretty much just black and white. So I don't mind that they're red. I mean, I do mind, but you know, I'm living through it. So yeah, very, very, very excited to have this. I'm not really going to say what this is about because obviously this is now the 5th book in a series, so I don't really want to ruin that series for anyone, but the series in general is a dystopian series that flips race on its head. It's still got like an apartheid system, so like toilets are separate, schools are separate, and in the first book, which is Noughts and Crosses, we follow Callum and Safi. One's a knot, one's a cross. So Safi goes to a school that is only for the rich and the higher in society, the crosses. Callum is one of the first who's allowed to go to this school. There's about 5 knots who are allowed to go to the school. It's very racially significant in my eyes, and it's a book that like really made me aware of that kind of stuff, and that's why I always love it so much, because yes, it's a book that really got me into reading and I really adored, but it's also really important. And so yeah, would recommend this series to anyone, obviously, and I'm very excited to have this. I've not picked it up yet because I'm going to be using this as an excuse to reread the whole series, I think, because that just sounds like the dream. When I picked that up, that was on a 2-for deal. I was looking at like the table of the other books to see if I wanted any of the other ones, and what I saw was The Burning by Laura Bates, and I ended up picking this one up because I think I will love it. I have read 2 Laura Bates books already. I've read Everyday Sexism and Girl Up, and I have loved both of them. Everyday Sexism is kind of like a case file on why sexism is still a thing that we need to worry about. It's your evidence. And then Girl Up is kind of taking that research that she's done and implementing it. So Girl Up is a book that I would say is more directed at like teenagers. It explains like different things about bodies and about Photoshop and about how to view yourself and how to keep yourself safe and all of these things. It is absolutely phenomenal. Would recommend it to anyone, especially like younger girls, because if I'd have had that when I was a teenager, I would have just had fewer problems overall, I think. So I very much enjoy Laura Bates as a person anyway, and this is her first fiction. I get a very Louise O'Neill vibe from this. Louise O'Neill is obviously the writer of like Asking for It, The Surface Breaks and stuff like that. I find her books really, really engaging in terms of covering feminist topics in a really beautiful way and empowering women, or making you realise where women need empowering, and just that kind of vibe. And because of the books that Laura Bates has written already, and because of the premise of this book, I feel like it's going to be like a Louise O'Neill book, which I am here for because Louise O'Neill is fast becoming one of my favourite authors of all time. On the back it just says that there's a girl who has moved to a new school, she's trying to escape her old life. There's been some sort of event that's gone on, because on the back it says that all her social media profiles have been deleted, she's got a new surname, like obviously something's happened, and then whispers start up and she starts to realise like whatever happened in the past might be coming back to haunt her. I just think this sounds amazing and right up my alley. I will love this. And I'm really excited because I'm going to be buddy reading this with Lucy from Books and Brushes. We're hoping to buddy read it over the last like 2 weeks of October, so that'll be super nice. And then the last book I got on that trip to Waterstones was, sometimes they have like a box that has like damaged books or whatever. Honestly, when you see this book, you're gonna laugh at the fact that I got this book for £3 because it was damaged. Whoever works in Waterstones needs to reevaluate what damaged means. So it is Dumplin by Julie Murphy. I know what you're thinking, where's the damage? There is no damage. Like, the pages are fine. It is absolute, there's nothing wrong with this book. The spine isn't broken. It's perfect. The only thing was, there was a sticker here, you know, like when you try and take a sticker off and it leaves that kind of white sticky stuff on the front. That's the reason they put it in a marked down box. Now, I don't know if you can notice, it's not there now because you can just clean it off. So I was literally like, has someone really put this in here and marked it down to £3 just because it has a bit of sticker on the front and they can't be asked wiping it off? That just seemed crazy to me, but I'm very, very happy that I got the book marked down because of it. I've wanted to read this for a while because I know that it has a plus size protagonist, and that is something that I am very interested in. I think it would be super cool to read, and it basically follows a girl who's really like confident and comfortable with who she is and what she looks like and all that sort of stuff. I think a boy starts to like her and it makes her start to doubt herself maybe, and I think she enters a pageant. I don't know that much about it. I'm listing like what I think I know from the trailer of the Netflix film, which I do want to watch but I haven't watched yet because I want to read the book first. And then the last 4 books are all books that I got from W.H. Smith's. So the W.H. Smith's in the town that I live in, it never used to have this, but now it has this downstairs bit where it has marked down books and clearance books, and there is nothing wrong with any of these books. None of them are damaged. There's, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with them. They were just all on clearance. So 3 of them I got for £4 each, which is just ridiculous because they're not like books that no one wants to read. They might be books other people don't want to read. I've heard quite a lot about them and I think they sound good. I feel like there's enough hype to not put them at £4. But the first one was actually £5, but that's because it's hardback. So that is Foxes Unearthed, A Story of Love and Loathing in Modern Britain by Lucy Jones. This is so beautifully published, like it feels amazing and it's so pretty. So I've wanted to read this for ages. I've wanted to get into some like nature non-fiction for quite a while as well, but I find it quite intimidating and I always think, oh, I've got to like know stuff about science and know stuff about this and that, because I just find non-fiction intimidating anyway. But over the last 2 years I've kind of like got into it more and realised it's not intimidating, I'm just being daft. So I ended up picking up this book because I thought, well, it's marked down to £5. I've wanted to read it for ages and I do know quite a lot about fox hunting and foxes in general because it was a huge thing when I was at school. I can remember like, you know, when you do like debates and like citizenship and stuff and they'd be about fox hunting because it was such a huge thing on the news at the time. And then on the back it just says that it's about the fox as a controversial creature, looking at facts, fables and all that sort of stuff to do with foxes. So I'm really excited for this, and obviously non-fiction November's around the corner, very excited for that. So I am hoping to maybe dive into this one during non-fiction November and see how that goes. Then the next book I picked up I was super excited for because number one, it looks amazing. It's so beautifully published. It is Nancy Mitford's Pursuit of Love. Like, you can't say that's not amazingly published. I'm really excited for this because I could never really place where I'd heard about it. I just knew I'd heard people mention it on BookTube a few times. It did sound good. And then I bought it, and about 3 days later, I think it was Kath Elizabeth had a video and she was talking about this book. She'd just read it and she was saying how much she loved it and how great it was and all this stuff. I was like, this is great because I've literally just picked it up. So I felt like it was giving me like, yes, you were right to buy it. That's good. So this is about a woman who is like growing up and she's on the lookout for a perfect lover. It's about the husbands that she has and her maturing and that sort of stuff. It sounds hilarious. It sounds maybe Bridget Jones-esque, not in the sense of the comedy of Bridget Jones, but in the like dating and sexual exploits of Bridget Jones, if that makes sense. So super excited to have this one. Next I have A Girl Is a Half-Formed Thing by Eimer McBride. I got this out from the library while I was in Switzerland and I really wanted to read it, but it was one of those where you go to the library and you see like 20 books that you want, and in Switzerland they have no limit on the amount of books that you can take out because, oh my god, that's amazing. And so I was really excited for this, but it just happened to be one of the books that I didn't get to. So I have been wanting to read it for ages. Obviously this won the Bailey's Women's Prize, which is just, you know, a feat in itself. And this is about a young woman's relationship with her brother and the long shadow cast by his childhood brain tumour. Sounds very hard-hitting, but I've heard really great things about this. I think it's by an Irish author, which is just cool anyway. Like, I went to Ireland over the summer, so I feel like I have a little bit of a I'm loving Ireland at the minute kind of vibe going on. So I think this could be super cool to read. And then the last book I have, see, this is what I mean. These books were marked down to £4 as though they were books that were like, people aren't going to buy these, so we'll put them down to £4. The next one is I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing by Maya Angelou. This is one of the most famous books in all of history, I think anyway. Like, why would you mark this down? People will pay above the asking price, I think, for this book, because it's supposed to have like such a big impact. So I find it really weird that all these books were marked down, especially this one. This is the first in Maya Angelou's 7-volume, I think. Yeah, 7-volume autobiography series, which just seems insane. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to have enough things happen in my life that I could do 7 volumes of an autobiography. But I'm super excited for this. Obviously, there's like a million people blurbed on this who are huge stars. You've got Barack Obama on the front, J.K. Rowling, President Bill Clinton, Oprah Winfrey, Toni Morrison. The one that's most important to me is that there's a quote from James Baldwin on the back. I absolutely love James Baldwin, so that means a lot to me. And in this one, she talks about her childhood and growing up in the American South during the 1930s. She learns the power of the white folks at the other end of town and suffers the terrible trauma of rape by her mother's lover. So still going to be the happiest of books, obviously, but I think it's an important one to read. And I've always kind of just had it on my radar as a book I want to read, so I'm really glad that I have a copy of it now. And again, non-fiction November around the corner. This could be a great one to pick up. So yeah, they're all the books that I picked up in the month of September. I'm quite happy with it because it's quite a mix of like YA, gay stuff, literary fiction, non-fiction. That's good for me. I like a mix of books. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. If you've read any of these and want to chat to me about them in the comments, that would be lovely. If you've read any of them and want to tell me to read them first, that would also be great. I'm definitely going to be reading The Burning this month, and obviously the 2 non-fictions I want to try and read during Non-Fiction November. But other than that, let me know what you think of them. And thank you very much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!